Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships. As today we're going to be checking out the new game update for update 11.10, featuring particularly the Japanese light cruisers. So excited to get back into doing some of these videos, as I was away for work conference and didn't even have a video up yesterday, but here we are. So update 11.10 drops this coming Wednesday. So it should, depending on what region, what time zone you're in, it will show you when that update will take place. So since this, for me, the NA server would be, it's 3 to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Time. But for myself, that's like literally kind of the middle of the afternoon, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we're going to go ahead and dive more into my thoughts and things to keep in mind with the new update. If you're a newer player or player who's been around for a long time but just doesn't like going through reading the news. The first thing I was going through the video and I watched the whole thing, but I find it really hysterical because this is the Japanese light cruisers, and here we can see a video where you can see the tier 10 Japanese light cruiser, the Yodo, with 59,800 hit points. And keep in mind, I don't know if this even means that this video, if they have survivability expert or not here on the Yodo. And then we go to something like, you know, the Zal, the Japanese heavy cruiser with 44,900 hit points. So, so it's rather funny to say the least. Of course, you can bump that up to 49,400. But still interesting and rather humorous to me when you compare, make those two comparisons. So, as with every new ship line that Wargaming introduces into the game, they have an early access. And keep in mind, you can also get 1 day of premium, as always, in these news articles. I haven't gone through every single section yet, and I haven't stumbled across it, so you'll see it when I see it. So you have the Japanese light cruisers starting from what appears to be tier 5 up to tier 10. They say the new ships have a good firing range starting from tier 7, so I don't know what that means for tier 5, tier 6. So medium and long ranges are optimal for engagements, which makes sense. Tier 8 and higher, the cruisers have a larger number of main battery guns, but also takes longer for them to reload, which to me is kind of interesting because usually the light cruisers, they have a better reload time. You know, if I'm thinking of something like, oh shoot, remembering the tier 8 American light cruiser, but shoot, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyhow, something like Seattle, or Cleveland, yeah, Cleveland, Seattle, Worcester. Yeah, something. Yeah, it should be like that. So it's really interesting. You know, with those, they have a better reload time, and I think these actually have a rather notable longer reload time on their guns. But we'll see that as they hit into the game, and I think some other community contributors have already talked about that. I know they're also going to have access to the 610 millimeter torpedoes, so long-range torpedoes. So you might often find yourself probably playing this line, you're kiting and you're spamming heavy torpedoes a lot, punishing ships that are pushing into you. You know, if your flank collapses, like you just start kiting and moving away. So we have the ships that are coming in. So in the early access, they're saying you can get the tier 5, the tier 6, and the tier 8 are available as sequential bundles. The Omino is the final reward for completing combat mission groups, so have to pay attention to what that combat mission groups looks like. The Takahashi can be obtained via random bundles available for doubloons. So usually that means if you look, you go to Armory, and then you check out the access for Japanese light cruisers, and you see the random bundles, and you open it up and see what would be the first thing you can get from a random bundle. Usually it's a number of options, but sometimes the ship can be the first thing that you can get. So maybe it's like 1,000 or 1,500 doubloons. Maybe it's worth it, maybe not. And then you have the tier 10 Yodo, which will be available to purchase for doubloons at the end of a sequential bundle chain. So keep in mind, this is all tech tree. Okay, this will be for free. I don't really try to sway away from ever encouraging spending money on the game. It's a free to play game. Like myself, yeah, I'll try to grind those Japanese early access tokens. So then maybe I get to pick up the tier 5, tier 6. But then I'm not going to spend money just to pick up these other ships. It may be debatable if, for example, the Takahashi popped up for me for 1,015 doubloons, then maybe I go ahead and just pick that up because it would be a kind of an early on video to give you my thoughts on the ship. So I'm kind of thinking of you guys in mind for that. But otherwise, just wait until it comes available via the tech tree when you can grind it for free and it's no longer in early access. So they updated a port, so they've been updating ports. The port is Izapangu, if I pronounce that correctly, to kind of reflect the new edition of the Japanese light cruisers. And here's my 1 day of premium, so collect the gift. So they give you over a month to even claim that reward. So US and German submarines will move from early access into the tech tree. So in the early access, I was able to pick up the tier 6 and tier American submarine and the tier 6 German submarine. So here they're going to giving you an overview of the German and US submarines. So German submarines having lower detectability and high dive capacity, but they also have a slow dive capacity recharge rate. The US submarines have a smaller dive capacity, but it recharges faster. So far, I'm not a fan of submarines, so don't expect to see a lot of submarine content come from me. I mean, I'll talk about them periodically. I still need to do a video on Wolfpack. I just haven't been busy, haven't gotten around to it yet. But I will this week. But for myself, I think the German submarines tend to be better than the American submarines. Just from my experience in playing them over the last year and testing in early access. And they've changed them so much. So if you do actually have some remaining submarine tokens by Wednesday, tomorrow, they'll be converted into credits at the rate of 1 submarine token for 3,000 credits. So if you're wondering, hey, what if I don't spend all my tokens from these different early access events? They basically, Wargaming credits you via credits. So it's not a staggering amount, but something is better than nothing. There's also graphic improvements that they've done on several maps. I covered this in the WoW's dev blog that we had for update 11.10. You guys will know that I'm particularly excited about 2, one being north because of this right here, being the Svorifjell, swords in the mountain, swords in the rock, which is just like a 10-15 minute walk away from me from where I live in Norway. And they're not actually that big in real life. They're just making them larger for the game. The fire, that's kind of cool, but Northern Lights. So the Aurora Boreals, because we can see them from even all the way down here in southern Norway. But I love the Aurora Boreals, so they added some sort of light mechanic into the game so they look more realistic. And then when I checked it out, even the public test server, it looked really good. The other thing is that they are making some changes with the ship. So they're adding a surf effect and then also water that kind of follows more along with the waves of your ship with how you maneuver. And then there'll be these like gloss effects of your ship. So you can see where water, a wave maybe went alongside your ship. So what we call the art department, there's actually 2 different departments, I think, that encompass that. But they always do such a good job, so always hats off to them for doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they do it fantastic. The Battle Pass is coming at start of 11.10. Battle Pass, acronym being BP. It's divided into different levels. They're your progress bar, and you'll need Battle Pass points to fill the bar and advance to higher levels. These can be earned as a reward for completing daily and weekly combat missions. So you get 2 reward chains. You either get the free or the premium, and I covered the expense pricing of how they had that on the public test server. I don't think there'll be too much change in that, if any at all. So among the free rewards, you can find various containers, free and elite commander XP, credits, coal, steel, research points, and part slots. The total value of the free chain rewards is comparable to the value of the rewards that are attainable from daily, weekly, and monthly combat missions prior to the release of update 11.10. They said in the development blog that their plan was to keep the free battle pass the equivalent or the same as the current daily, weekly, and monthly combat missions. Note that they said plan. Things could change. They might decide that they want to nerf that later on part of the what seems to be the ever ongoing economic rework in the game. So just keep that in mind, that they at least want to keep them the same, but I think they're going to do some increases with this, because some players pointed out that there's a little bit of discrepancy where you're actually getting less on some things and more on only a very few things. The Premium Battle Pass will offer additional rewards, including coal, research points, credits, free XP, and elite commander XP, steel, and economic bonuses at various levels, including unique ones. Also, when you complete the premium chain, your final reward will be the Tier 7 Japanese, I'm going to assume is a light cruiser, the Tokachi. So another advantage of the premium chain is that players who have access to it can purchase battle pass levels in exchange for doubloons. So kind of reminds you of a dockyard if you don't want to wait to complete a to get the rewards from a certain level. You can go ahead and throw doubloons at it if you are a whale and like to spend money in the game. To complete the entire battle pass, you need fewer points than you can earn from all combat missions. This means that you can miss some of the missions and still be able to complete the battle pass. If you continue completing combat missions after completing the battle pass, you'll receive fixed additional rewards. So we're just gonna have to see how that develops over time. Yeah, and then they're doing, you can also purchase a large battle pass pack and unlocks access to premium chain and additional resource bonuses. Similar to the naval base bonuses, so it was like you could demount upgrades from your ship, I think, for a lower cost, all these different things. So again, we'll have to see what that looks like. They're also doing some updates and dealing with unsupporting conduct. Some of the improvements that they have is the main goal of these changes are to improve and generally make the definition of inaction in battle more accurate, as well as to eliminate situations where players could, for various reasons, avoid penalties for unsupporting conduct. We finalized and added to the existing criteria, and we've also updated procedure for checking players for their violator status. So players who receive a penalty for unsupporting conduct in battle, this is like, let's say you kept shooting a teammate, or you dumped a bunch of torpedoes into them, you will not receive credits or experience for that battle. Like, that's the penalty they're putting on you. Previously, even if you did keep shooting a teammate and you went pink, or back in the day when you could actually do damage to them, you'd still get credits and experience for that battle, but now they're taking it more seriously in that you won't get anything. So even if you accidentally shoot a teammate once, you're not going to get the penalty for unsupporting conduct. I think it's kind of like that you have to have done it 3 times, or maybe the damage that you would have done if you dumped all your torpedoes into a teammate would have to be break that criteria. But usually, I think in my memory, it's like 3 times if you kept shooting a player repeatedly. So, because sometimes you might accidentally hit a teammate. Most of the time, of course, that's not common. It's just random every now and then. And you don't torpedo behind your teammates, okay? Like, let's just be clear about that. In ranked battles, such players do not receive stars if their team wins. Okay. If the situation is repeated, the color of the violator's nickname changes, and in order to remove the violator status, they need to fight in a certain number of battles without any violations. So if the violations do not stop the player, the penalty can be toughened up to restriction on entry into certain battle types, so that you might not be able to play ranked random battles. Usually players who get penalized will just hop in co-op, and maybe you need to play 3 co-op battles or more depending on the level or seriousness of the penalty you received. We also have the start of the new Clan Battle Season, Clan Battle Season 19 Barracuda, in a 7 versus 7 format with tier 10 ships. Will start Wednesday, November 9th. So you have over a week away. They've already announced that in a separate article. So you can check that out, look at the maps that they'll be doing. So there'll be some clans already begin planning with that. And it's going to go all the way to Sunday, January 15th. And then you can see my local times here. So a good extended season. So I'm actually going to be in the US in December for a bit. So not being in Norway means that I am better time zones to actually play with my NA clan, so I'm hoping I get to play a little bit of clan battles with my NA clan with my gaming laptop. So restrictions in the video, they said this time there will be no aircraft carriers or submarines. Expect them to bring aircraft carriers in the future clan battles, and I don't know if they'll ever see submarines. I mean, their goal is that when they introduce ships into the game, they want to put them in all different type of battle types. So we'll probably see aircraft carriers again before we see submarines. If they did aircraft carriers and submarines at the same time, I think a lot of people would be very unhappy, and there'd be clans just not wanting to participate in clan battles for whatever season that may be. So I would expect in clan battle season 20, I wouldn't be shocked if they bring aircraft carriers at least into back in, since they've been hinting at that for the past couple of months. No more than 2 battleships per team, no more than 3 Kleber, Marceaux, or combination of both per team in total, and no more than 3 mercenaries per division. Brawls is coming back on November 7th to November 14th. It will be, in round 1, it will be a 4 versus 4 format with tier 5 ships. And more details about this in subsequent rounds of Brawls will be available in dedicated articles on our website. So they'll have a Brawls dedicated news article. They'll also bring in some game change balances. So some actually ships have been in the game for quite some time. So starting off, the Ryujo, that's the tier 6 Japanese aircraft carrier. Torpedo used by the researchable torpedo bomber squadron has been replaced with a similar one used by the standard torpedo bomber squadron. The Renown is getting a buff to her main battery reload time, reduced from 27 seconds to 26 seconds. The Monarch, the firing range is being increased from 19.1 to 19.6. Sigma value increased from 1.8 to 1.85. So it's kind of interesting that they're doing this now, because they're also doing similar buff for the Monarch. Actually, in Lion. I actually have the Monarch. I've already have enough experience to purchase the Lion. So I might actually do that within the next week or two. So I can get, well, I need to go and feature the Monarch in a week or two from now. But I think Schlieffen's on my mind. If I haven't, I don't think I've already featured Schlieffen. But with the Lion, main battery firing range is they're increasing from 20.7 to 20.1. Sigma value increased from 1.8 to 1.85, and main battery reload time reduced from 30 seconds to 29 seconds. Kind of makes you wonder if they're going to be introducing a British super battleship soon in order to kind of make this line maybe a little slightly more enjoyable. So it's just interesting, particularly with these two, that now, why all of a sudden are they making the changes? So probably a little bit of the tinfoil hat moment there. Content additions and changes. Changes in Ranked Battle Season 9 based on our feedback and statistics, or I need to say based on your feedback and statistics. We decided to exclude the islands of Ice Map from the list of maps for Ranked Battles Season 9. Yeah, like having to be in a tier 6 ship, tier 5 ship, and have to sail all the way around the map in a 20-knot battleship was nothing but pain. Changes in the exterior tab. The special group of camouflage patterns sitting under the exterior tab has been split into the following 2 groups of camouflages, special and trophy, and now you're going to be able to sell these camouflages. Originally you weren't able to. We did discuss this in the previous video I did on the early look at this, but it's good to see that they're still going to stick with that. Changes in unlocking access to the Research Bureau. Update 11.10 brings changes to the methods of gaining access to the Research Bureau. From now on, access is only available to players who have researched at least 5 of any tier 10 ships. The research points you earn before unlocking access will remain on your account, but they can be spent only after you gain access. If you already have access to the Bureau, nothing will change for you. Originally, it was like you could earn 10,000 Research Bureau points or something from my dockyard, and then because you earned that Research Bureau points, you would gain access to the Research Bureau. But it's great to see that from now on it will only be available if you have at least tier 10 ships. I think that is good for wargaming to do, but it's nice that you can still earn and gain Research Bureau points. So that's just building up bank until you get those 5 tier 10 ships. Changes to the balance of operations based on your feedback statistics. We decided to simplify the following operations: Hermes, Cherry Blossom, Nurai, Defensive Naval Station Newport, and Raptor Rescue. Okay, so I guess we'll have to see what that looks like. New achievement, Commander testing. The new achievement I'm really excited about. It's Combat Scout. The achievement is awarded for fulfilling all the following conditions. Help your team cause damage to enemy ships upon your spotting. Damage caused must amount to at least 20% of the total base HP of all ships on the enemy team. And then you must deal damage to enemy ships yourself. The damage caused must amount to at least 5% of the total base HP of all ships on the enemy team. So I think they added the second one on, so you're not just running around scouting and spotting, and you're never causing damage yourself. So it's like, hey, you still need to participate in the battle personally yourself and dealing damage to the enemy team to be able to pick up the achievements. So this I am excited about because I have had some games where I've done 100k 1,000 spotting and just not being able to get any reward for that I think is kind of a downer. So Combat Scout will be good to have. There's been testing on a unique Pan-Asian commander by developers, super testers, and community contributors is commencing. The commander won't have a special appearance, personalization, or name in update 11.10. These elements will be added into the game later. So the skills he's going to have is for aircraft carriers and enhanced skills for battleships, emergency repair specialists, and vigilance, slightly increased numbers, consumable enhancements, plus 12.5% to the consumable action time. The talents he will have are threefold. High Alert activates upon earning the Combat Scout achievement. Bonuses, negative 20% to main battery gun reload time and aircraft preparation time. Can be activated once per battle. So I imagine, if they're doing this and they already making a skill for, or an enhanced skill for aircraft carriers, this means that we're probably looking at some Pan-Asian aircraft carriers before too long into the game, so they're just making preparations for that. But it'll be interesting to see, this is, really good to have on something like the Yu Yang, the Pan-Asian destroyer line. Could even be for the Pan-Asian cruisers. You also have Torpedo Attack Expert. It activates upon hitting enemy ships with torpedoes 6 times. This can only be activated once per battle. Your torpedo speed will go up plus 5%, and your reload time of the torpedo reload booster consumable cooldown time will go down negative 25%, and you'll get an additional number of charge plus 1 for the torpedo reload booster consumable. Emergency supplies. If you receive 1.5 million potential damage, I think there is a Pan-Asian Sovietsky Soyuz type Russian battleship coming for the Pan-Asian cruiser line, a premium. So that kind of makes sense why they're putting this in. You have a negative 6.5% to ship consumable cooldown time. Can be activated several times per battle. So you can actually keep stacking this. So then you can get your damage control party, your repair party, back up even quicker, as an example for something like that Pan-Asian battleship. There's also some new content coming into the game. Japanese cruisers and Shinanomi commemorative flags, Hurricane Barracuda and Barracuda achievements, patch and background dedicated to the game's 5th anniversary on Steam, 5 years on Steam permanent camouflage for the Tier 7 British battleship King George V, which looks fantastic, very awesome. So the person who designed that camouflage and was the winner of the competition did a fantastic job on that. Then 5 years in Microsoft Store expendable camouflage, so that one kind of looks a little ugly. Black Friday content has been added to the game. So the black versions of the Tier 10 Napoli, the Italian heavy cruiser, the Tier 9 American hybrid battleship, the Kearsarge, the Tier 8 German cruiser, the Mainz, the Tier 8 Russian aircraft carrier, the Chkalov, and the Tier 6 Shinanomi are entering into the game. Previously, Shinanomi was only accessible through a campaign, but now they're making it accessible to purchase. And it's a pretty good Tier 6 destroyer, I would have to say. 5 themed flags and 5 patches. So, and they're also updating the naval-based port to reflect the Black Friday events. There's also going to be new ships have been added for testing by developers, super testers, and community contributors. This is the hybrid battleships, the Nebraska, the Delaware, and the Louisiana. Also, the premium Tier 3 Pan-Asian cruiser, the Ninghai, and then the Tier 9, this is the Pan-Asian battleship, the Sun Yat-sen, and then the Tier 9 Commonwealth cruiser, the Hector, and a Tier 8 British submarine, the Alliance. You can also see an article if you want to go through it yourself. I'll put a link to the article in the description below. Other changes and improvements. So there's a lot of things that are in this, and they usually, you can see a complete list, refer to player support. But there are a number of errors. You can see fix an issue, fix an issue, fix an issue, fix an issue, so on and so forth. Looks like they fixed the geometry and textures of a number of ships. Jeez, that's a lot. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that was fixed that. So I actually like to sit down and go through and see what all errors and things they had to fix, or things that they updated, to understand more of what Wargaming is up to. So that is the video for the update 11.10 of the Japanese light cruisers. That's going to be taking place tomorrow when this video goes up. So note, if you're playing in the middle of the night on NA time, you are not going to be able to play the game while the installation update goes in on the servers. So hopefully you appreciate this video and give you a little more information about the upcoming updates. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll definitely be interested to see how things go with the Battle Pass, if that ends up being successful or not, or if there's some tweaks that Wargaming has to make along the way. As I think between that and the Japanese light cruisers, that's probably the two biggest things upcoming in the next update. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I would appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.